Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 373 of Geeks in Space, your coffee break coming to you live from low Earth orbit. I'm Rob Commander Taco Malda, and with me today, I have three fine friends from various locations around the globe. Gentlemen.
Hi, I'm Jeff Bates. I'm around the globe, Ann Arbor specifically.
I'm a little lower in orbit. I'm Chris DeBona. I'm orbiting currently at like 10 feet above sea level in San Diego.
And I'm Rob Roseboom, coming to you from a bunker at an undisclosed location.
You have a lot of sunlight in your bunker. Is that like a simulated sunlight or real?
Yeah, it's good for...
You don't have to answer that.
Oh, no, it's okay. It's good for vitamin D and to keep my spirits up. So.
Yeah.
So the internet is absolutely ablaze with two subjects this week. And the first of them is the Amazon rainforests are burning down and we're not going to have any breathing anymore. But I don't want to talk about that because that's important. It's much more important that we talk about Spider-Man.
More important than we talk about Spider-Man than our lack of oxygen?
Yeah.
Listen, the ocean handles 70% of CO2 conversion to oxygen, so we're going to be fine. We don't need those forests.
We only need 70%.
About Spider-Man. We need Tom Holland.
So
he can convert. Listen, he's Spider-Man. Spiders can convert oxygen at a rate like 1 million times a human. So Spider-Man clearly can save us from climate change.
Yeah.
So we need more spider people.
LG has us covered as far as oxygen goes, but who's going to shoot webs at bad people?
I mean, I'm willing to volunteer. I lack the engineering prowess necessary to build my own web shooters, so I'm going to have to rely on the Sam Raimi-era biological shooters.
Yeah, the weird, gross thing.
So, okay, the story is that Spider-Man's mommy and daddy, Sony and Marvel Pictures, are getting a divorce. And instead of like letting Spider-Man live with one family, letting Tom Holland's Spider-Man live with one family or the other, they're just going to murder Tom Holland's Spider-Man and probably have a new Spider-Man, which will probably be just as good as the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man that we all enjoyed so much just a few short years ago.
Wait, is this all just going to come down to rebooting the entire... Is this going to be another Spider-Man reboot?
Well, I assume that what they're going to do is they'll cast a new Spider-Man and put him into the Venom universe.
Well, they explicitly said, we're really looking forward to developing our Venom-like universe. And it's like, no one liked it. It was crap.
It wasn't crap.
It's not crap. It's just not good.
No, it was crap. It was very not good.
So the second half
I still don't
of Venom,
get Tom Hardy.
I enjoyed the second
so
half of
bad.
Venom because they spent so much time setting up the whole thing that by the time you got to the end, it was actually fun because listening to Tom Hardy and Venom banter and argue and have their shenanigans, that was an enjoyable third act. I felt like most of the stuff leading up to it was fairly mediocre.
I have to tell you,
I'm not sure you know what fun is.
You're completely incorrect. Like, not a little incorrect, but
a lot?
Vast volumes of incorrectness.
All right.
Like, it was so bad. Like, and
it was really terrible.
Me, it was just really bad. You know, like I felt like I was watching like a pre-effects reel, like B-roll of the movie. They're like, okay, put it in post. We can fix that in post. And they just sort of kind of forgot. And then they realized, oh, wow, this is a terrible movie with terrible actors, except for maybe Jenny Slate, who was quirky, but still terrible.
It was weird to me
to
see
whatever they decide to do.
Non-Parks and Recreation role, because that's the only thing I've ever really seen her in, I guess. And she's such a weird character in Parks and Rec.
Whatever they decide to do, I think we can all agree that hopefully they'll do the origin story again, right?
Because we really want to see Uncle
I really am missing. I think there might be a few people who don't know how Spider-Man became Spider-Man yet.
I'm looking forward to this one where Aunt May is actually a roller derby queen who is younger than Peter Parker.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, Yeah.
Yeah, she's
Get a different spin on it.
May. She's
So
Aunt
say what
May.
you will, Into the Spider-Verse, which we all agreed was the best movie of the year, in 2018, had like 9 origin stories.
That's true.
And we laughed it up. We love that crap, right? So it's not that you can't reboot Spider-Man or do alternative Spider-Man or have Spider-Gwen or have Spider-Ham. It's that Sony in the Venom universe is horrifying.
Yeah, I don't have high hopes for anything that they choose to do with it. I really did want to see them do a trilogy, like get through their whole Spider-Man trilogy in the MCU. What makes me sad too is that I read an interesting quote, which is that if Disney hadn't extended copyright, Spider-Man would be in the public domain by now, or basically by now. So they could technically have just had a Spider-Man character themselves if they wanted to, except for the extending the copyright rules. I'm equally thrilled to see Uncle Ben die again. That's
actually why Rob goes to the movies,
is to see how
Uncle Ben dies.
Yeah, I went and
my favorite part of the Spider-Man history.
When
I could watch Uncle Ben die every day.
Yeah, I went to see Angry Birds 2, and I stormed out because there was no Uncle Ben death. I mean, any movie without the death of Uncle Ben, it's a worse movie.
Right. Okay, so now we've found out what your threshold is. It's Angry Birds 2. That's a bad movie, but Venom is somehow tolerable.
So Angry Birds 2, I went to see it for my kids. It's if I was going on a 10-point scale, that's maybe like a 4 or a 5. I'd give Venom like a 6 or a 7. Into the Spider-Verse is a 10. The Last Avengers movie, maybe like a 9. That's your framework. It's hard for me to go lower than like a 4 for like on a 10-point scale for a movie, because that means like there's just nothing redeeming. Like, I thought Tom Hardy's performance in Venom was good. I enjoyed the banter between Tom Hardy and Venom. A lot of the effects were garbage. I liked Jenny Slate. I don't remember who the bad guy was. I thought he was terrible. But I mean, like, there are redeeming qualities, and I will give a point or two to any movie for having a redeeming quality.
I think you just need to explore the reality of those bottom 4 points, Rob, is all.
That's true.
I'm saying just throw them out. Then you're just on a 6-point scale, right?
I think I can bridge us to our next topic. Where would you put the 3 Matrix movies?
You mean the 1 Matrix movie?
Yeah. What are you talking? There aren't 3.
So the first Matrix movie is 9 or a 10. The second 2 Matrix movies are maybe like a 5, a 6, a 4, somewhere in that range. I'd have to really try to rewatch them. But I have the same problem actually with my iTunes Music, the 5-star system. I basically use the 5-star system to also indicate whether or not I have heard the song or not. So 3 stars essentially indicates I have listened to this song and do not like or hate it. I never need to hear it again. It's 3 stars. 1 star is garbage music, and if you recommend me something like this again, I will hate you. And then almost everything else is 4 or 5 stars if I actually liked it. And I don't know that I've ever actually ranked a star 2 stars. And I feel kind of the same way with movies. Like, there are bad movies, there are acceptably okay movies, there are good movies, and there are great movies. And I am loath to put movies into the bad movie category. Venom was fine. It's not great. It's fine. It is, as Angry Birds 2, it is fine. Whatever. Nobody's putting that on their favorite movies list.
So, Rob, I think this is a really good time for you to confess. The Slashdot moderation system, it had like minus, plus, funny, redundant. You so overload your star systems. It's like a pathological problem. You need help. No one uses a 5-star system to indicate if they've listened to a song before. Literally nobody.
But that's actually a response to the technology that's available to me. I have no mechanism, so I use the dynamic playlists function. I add a song, it has no star rating. I have to have a way to determine I've heard and given this song a fair shake. Sometimes I have to listen to a song 3 times to decide if it's a good or a bad song. So the only way that I can do that, given the constraints of the system that I have been using for my music for 15 years, is the star system. I use what I have. I really, truthfully, have really 4 buckets. As far as the scoring system for Slashdot, that was purely an evolved set of choices, like choosing the best thing. Initially, there was no cap. It could go up beyond 5. I had to put the cap on because people were being stupid about it and squandering points, because a 7 comment is not really any better than a 4-point comment. So like, I'd rather users put their points somewhere else. So it was, and the -1 was purely to say, this is the bad bucket. But the Slashdot scale operates from -1 to 5, but the starting point or the neutral comment is either 0, 1, or 2, depending on if you are anonymous, logged in, or awesome. So that would be the 3-star in my iTunes moderation system. And then really all I care about beyond that is bad, good, and great. It makes sense in my stupid brain.
Well, so let me ask you something. I don't use iTunes. So can you sort by stars in iTunes?
Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't know.
So it's kind of like you're using it as a rudimentary tag system.
Yes.
So you're like, I know I never want to see 1s again, so I'm going to sort and go from 5 to 3, and you can scroll down to where the 3s are and say, these are ones I'm going to give another chance. I mean, it totally screws up any dynamic radio station.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. But so be it.
It's one of those things where I started doing it that way because it was the best I could achieve in like 2004, 2005 when I started using iTunes. And it's just, it's because I obsessively download 1,000 songs a year and I rank them all. But once I've decided I'm done with the song, it's got to be done. But I didn't hate it, so it doesn't.
You want to put it back into the vault, and then to be able to say, "Oh, this is what I thought about this thing." Then
right, because the next time, so okay, you get a Quentin Tarantino movie or like a Guardians of the Galaxy movie. That soundtrack, you download that soundtrack, and it's got like 4 songs in it that you've already marked. And I know I don't need to listen to that song again, or maybe I want to give that a second chance. That's context that for me adds to my enjoyment of music. Now, I don't know what context you can add to the Matrix 2 or 3 to make those good. Matrix 4 has half of the Wachowskis, and it's got Carrie-Anne Moss and Neo. Although, correct me if I'm wrong, isn't Carrie-Anne Moss dead? Didn't Trinity die in the end of the second one, or did they Jesus her?
No,
I don't know.
First of all, I don't really remember it that much. I just remember there was a truce at the end between Vince Cerf, the internet god, and Neo, and they stood on a lot of like scarabs, so it was like Stargate, and he walked on scarabs, and there was hacking, I guess.
So is the premise of Matrix 4 that the robots use us to rank music now?
Yep.
Or did we just get really off in the weeds?
Or we're all 2 stars.
Well, it's the Matrix 4, but it's the Emoji Movie 2, and it's Angry Birds 3. Okay,
it's the shared universe. The Matrix, Angry Birds, Spider-Man shared universe where Uncle Ben dies at the beginning of every act.
And what philosophical concept are we talking about in Matrix 4? Are we tackling, cultural relativity in this one? Or are we...
I think it's more about the weight required for a bird to knock over an egg, which is really confusing for the Matrix.
Well, and the important thing to remember, though, is that every single character will be in, like, shiny pleather outfits.
Oh, sure. Yes. Although I guess the question is how steampunk will it be?
Ooh. I'm in.
Yeah. Because that's the thing now.
Admittedly... I rewatched The Matrix. This was like last year, and I was like, it's still a pretty good movie. I watched it with Laszlo, and I was just like, it's still a really good movie. And I just chose to ignore the second and third ones. It was blissful.
Yeah.
It's not an unreasonable decision to make. It is a really good movie. It's among the best. But what I would say is that the Wachowskis, of their subsequent work, like I actually kind of enjoy Cloud Atlas. My wife has a weird fondness for Jupiter Ascending. But every time I like ask her a question about Jupiter Ascending, like, what about Channing Tatum has puppy ears? And she's like, oh yeah, that's right. That's terrible.
Well, he's part dog, so I mean. That's
Yeah,
fine,
no, I
right?
yeah.
I mean,
Ugh.
duh.
Yeah, no, and then like, oh, but what about the fact that Eddie Redmayne is in it? Remember Eddie Redmayne is in it, and she's like, oh yeah, crap.
And what about the dragons?
And he's not bad. There's some great things about Jupiter Ascending. Unfortunately, everything else is so execrable. It's just awful. Like, how do you take Mila Kunis and Channing Tatum and even Eddie Redmayne, who I think is actually a pretty good actor, and you make that,
Well, I think that the story of the Wachowskis is that they are the classic example where the sum of the parts is less than the value of the parts, with the one exception really being The Matrix. The Matrix, the parts just added up correctly and made something better. But every single other, like Speed Racer has some really cool visual dynamic action scenes. There's some cool effects in there. Yeah. It's a real stylized thing that they were going for. It's cool. They've done cool stuff. But
I would actually say that Speed Racer is a fundamentally good movie, and I think that Into the Spider-Verse owes something to Speed Racer.
I've only seen it once. I think it's time for me to give it a second watch.
Which one you've only seen once? Into the Spider-Verse, or?
I've seen the Into the Spider-Verse, I think 9 times. So.
Oh, okay. I was going to be surprised if that was only once.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen Avengers Endgame 8 times, and I was thinking about going for number 9 this week. But
you are such
that's like a full day. That's like 24 hours of Endgame.
I know.
Yeah.
But only 5 of those viewings were in a movie theater.
I can't even conceive.
Yes,
sometimes Rob watches it underwater.
Yep.
Well,
the Pixel 3s are waterproof, right? So you can watch it in the shower, you can watch it in the bathtub, you can watch it in the pool, you can watch it many times.
Are you plugging them? Are you paid by them?
I am, but I love the phone. I freaking love it. I mean, I have a steam shower. It doesn't mind. It's like, sure, steam me.
Well done. Hey, Rob, did you have a military vest that you wished to bring up?
Well, I don't know if it's my specific topic, but sure, there's a story
now.
about a man who is a member of the I forget what that particular fetish is called, the furry community, who had developed a cooling vest that is so good that now it's become the go-to product for military people's wish lists. It's become the hot topic, the hot item to have in a bunch
of intended
Japanese naval bases and other things like that. So it just goes to show that indeed porn is leading technology.
Wait a second. So here's the thing. As much as we all love to make fun of furries and all the rest, I have some fundamental questions. One,
I'm not sure we want to hear these questions.
No, you do. Trust me.
Do they involve like washing techniques or anything?
No. Is it like a hydronic vest with like a Peltier cooler on the back? Do you have to have a hump? So can you only do like weirdly back-shaped furrying if you want to use this vest? Where's the cooling radiators and vents? Because here's the thing, right? We know furries get together and they have their times together. So I'd imagine the vest would have to have its apparatus located in places that are not co-located with areas of interest for the furry community.
You mean like California?
No, that's not what I
meant. Like
meant.
there's no big cooling dial on the genitals, is what you're asking. Right, gotcha.
Was this person like kind of a genius engineer? I'm trying to I would love to see the mechanism. Did any of you follow the link? I know it's a dangerous link to follow. Did any of you follow the link and say, oh, what's the design?
From what I could tell, it was a combination of having pockets in which you could put frozen plastic cooling inserts, as well being filled with a chemicals that react that actually cool upon pressure. Kind of like my dogs have a cooling bed, that you lay on it and it gets really cold for like 3 or 4 hours. And it looked like that is what this guy put together.
Have you ever seen Adam Savage, his spacesuit builds? They're really cool. He does these things on YouTube. He's got a long-standing tradition of wandering around conferences in spacesuits, and he builds them custom, and like they're generally quite accurate. Like here's my Apollo 11 era spacesuit, and here's my Gemini era spacesuit.
Oh, he's doing recreations of spacesuits, not
yeah. I don't know that I would trust Mythbuster technology in orbit. I know here in the orbit that we all share, we have spacesuits, but they are not made by Adam Savage. They are made by Jamie, the more competent engineer from Mythbusters. No, he makes these spacesuits, and a lot of them
along the same lines. Which property, brother, do you prefer, Rob? As long as we're referring members of duopolies.
Wait a second. We're modern people. Which Dolan twin? Which Merrill twin do you prefer?
I haven't seen any of those shows. I fail.
Evidently.
That's right. No, he makes these suits and he wanders around, but in a lot of them, a big part of it actually is the cooling, because he's been doing this for so long that he's figured out that you sweat in these suits. And so he's got little fans and stuff built into them, little cooling systems. If you're interested in the subject, it's actually pretty interesting what he's done. He's an innovator, I guess, in that one particular niche of weirdness.
He's an innovator in making it so you can wear recreated spacesuits to conventions.
Breaking, cutting edge, sweet tech. How can you not love it?
Well, I guess he most recently did Star-Lord, because he basically hides, right? He's got he can go incognito to these Comic-Cons, which he loves, and so he's done some of the characters from Spirited Away. He's done, he just did Star-Lord, so it's kind of like Spot the Savage, if you're at a Comic-Con.
Although I still think my favorite for that at Comic-Con has to be when Brian. Breaking Bad, what's his name? Yeah, went
to wore the mask of himself.
Yes, he wore his own mask and went like, that is genius.
Right?
Now I will take my mask off to reveal me. Yeah.
And then it's hard to tell, is he doing Breaking Bad or is he doing Mission Impossible?
I think he was just doing attending Comic-Con anonymously. And
fair enough.
What he was doing.
Fair enough. I've never been to a Comic-Con. I'm sure that everybody there is healthy and normal and adjusted.
Also, I would have gone with Malcolm in the Middle.
It's con.
I was saying this to you, Rob, earlier.
I did almost call him Hal rather than Brian.
Sequence from Malcolm in the Middle where they throw stuff in the wood chipper. My kids were very excited to watch things be thrown through a wood chipper on TV.
Well, you can watch those YouTube channels of this. There's one machine that's a gigantic shredder that has its own YouTube channel, and you can watch it destroy all kinds of things from whole couches.
It's like the hydraulic press channel.
Do you remember Will It Blend?
Well, it really goes back to Will It Blend, right? Will It Blend was like the avatar, the thin end of the spear that brought us all these creators who destroy.
That is definitely one way of saying that. Yes.
I don't know that I'd call it Avatar. I think maybe it's Star Wars. It's really like the pinch point where the whole thing takes off, man. It might be Star Wars.
Will It Blend might be Star Wars?
Yeah. Because Avatar is totally derivative.
Oh, we're talking about the Blue People movie?
Yeah, the Blue People movie that you've never seen.
Yep.
Fern Gully.
Yep, Fern Gully.
Fern Gully.
With Robin Williams.
Expensive Fern Gully.
Expensive Fern Gully. That's.
And again, okay. Without looking it up, what was the name of the main character in Avatar?
Jake.
Preston.
Now I'm actually going to look it up because I know it wasn't Preston.
Can I just take this time to remind everyone that I still haven't seen it? Just like to make sure we plug that as often as possible.
I think it might be Jake. Well, so what is it? Rob.
It's not Jake.
No, it's Preston.
It's Jake Sully.
It's really Jake.
It's Jake Sully.
The main character in Avatar is a dude named Jake.
Jake Sully.
And then what is his...
Let me take this moment to apologize to all our Jake listeners right now. Jake's a fine name. I don't know what Jeff's problem is.
Jeff is Jakeist.
Jake, I mean, come on.
You've seen our subscriber numbers. We don't have a Jake listening.
Yeah, Jake is the name of like the lovable but shifty mechanic that should be supporting the main character. Like,
the scion of the Jake break fortune.
Yeah, exactly. Like he should have slayed Meatback. See, that's a good hero name right there.
But he's supposed to be like a jarhead. Jake seems like a reasonable name for like a ex-military thug type.
Nope, it's for a shifty mechanic, and I'm not taking any other suggestions at this time.
I buy it. Now, if you can name Sigourney Weaver's character in Avatar, that you would earn money for.
Dr. Jacobs.
Dr. Jake.
She was Dr. Nick, medical person.
Janice.
Yep. Dr. Not Ripley. Dr. Not Gozer.
Oh, no. I bet you she was Dr. Jonesy because that was the name of the cat in Alien. I know the name of the cat in Alien, and I don't know the names of anyone in Avatar.
I
know the name of the cat from Alien because I think I heard you ask it at like 3 consecutive Golden Penguin Bowls.
It's one of my favorite pieces of Alien trivia.
Well,
all right, folks.
Is on the list of like who survived this movie. Well, we got to include the cat because otherwise that doubles the... No, it doesn't double the casualty. Would have the survival rate.
Gentlemen, we have successfully squandered 30 minutes of our low Earth orbit oxygen supplies. I'm going to put up the slide if you guys want to say your goodbyes.
It's been wonderful to be back.
We missed you, Jeff. We missed you.
Okay, well, I would like to say goodbye to Jeff, Chris, and other Rob. Thank you for listening to episode 373 of Geeks in Space. I am Rob Commander Taco Malda, and you're now supposed to do all sorts of things with your browser based on conventions and appreciation for the things that you listened to. Thank you. Click on the